What is up, guys? It's your boy, Rick Kakis, and today you have 1 week left until the start of Season 17 for Destiny 2. Well, 1 week plus 1 day, but who's counting? So what we're gonna do in this video is go over all of the different ways you can prepare for this new season. So you can start off with a substantial advantage and spend your time playing that brand new content rather than catching up in order to play it. So let's get started. But just before we do, guys, thanks to my partnership with Astro, I'm giving away a pair of Astro A40s plus the Mix app. All you gotta do is like the video, share the video, get it on #1 trending for gaming on YouTube. I was kidding. What you really gotta do, guys, is just follow me on Twitter at RickKakis and tweet at me something with the hashtag PreparedKakis, and I'll pick a winner in a couple of days. And of course, you can use code KakisHD, I believe, on any Logitech product to get a discount. Alright, now as for the prep, first things first, let's get this out of the way, bounty prep. So for those who don't know, what you can do is complete bounties, but don't turn them in yet for experience, wait until the start of next season, and then turn all of your completed bounties in to essentially get a huge boost in terms of your seasonal rank, experience, all of that stuff. You're basically saving your XP for when it actually matters at the start of a new season. So there's 3 different tiers to bounties. Firstly, there's weekly bounties. These are going to award the most experience. After that, it's daily bounties, and in last place, it's those repeatable bounties. So you want to save as many weekly bounties as possible and fill the rest in with daily bounties, and as a last resort, you pick those repeatable bounties. The thing is, there's really not too many weekly bounties left in the game. Bungie has kind of been removing them. The ones that remain include, firstly, the Hawthorne clan bounties count as weekly bounties. Secondly, the destinations of the Cosmodrome, there's going to be 2 weekly bounties there from Shah Han. Additionally, Europa still has 2 weekly bounties, as well as the Moon. In fact, the Moon has 4, 2 at the Lectern of Enchantment and 2 at Eris Morn. Another great one is the gold tier bounty from Starhorse. And then lastly, guys, you can potentially hang on to 2 weekly bounties from Guardian Games. Those might be depreciated, but they might not be. Normally, you'd hold on to Iron Banner, but Bungie has actually said that Iron Banner bounties, as well as tokens, are being depreciated in order to make way for the massive Iron Banner changes arriving in Season 17. By the way, additional tip here, like the time this video is going out, it's literally the last day Iron Banner is available. Make sure to spend every single Iron Banner token you have, because those will just disappear from your inventory starting in Season 17. So again, make sure to get that loot now. One last quick bounty tip before we move on. If you need a quick way to fill your inventory with dailies, planetary dailies are great. Go to places like the EDZ and Nessus. Every day they're going to have 3 really easy to complete dailies, and you can stock up on those and fill your inventory in no time. I guess not inventory quest tab, but speaking of your inventory, let's talk about some material prep. So, as always, stock up on relevant materials, visit the Cryptarch within the tower, and get those planetary materials. You have no idea what's going to be sold next season, and you could really need, spin metal or so on to buy upgrade modules, all of that stuff. So having a large amount of materials going into a new season is always important. And this season, we have all of the new crafting materials. So if you can get your hands on those Ascendant alloys, that is going to be potentially very helpful leading into next season. However, I do have a big tip involving the rest of the crafting material, because it's actually pretty much all going away. That's right, Bungie is making a change starting in Season 17. All of those extra materials, so stuff like mutable element, a ruinous element, all of that stuff is going away. And instead, you're only going to have neutral element. So, I know a lot of you guys are probably in the same position as me, and your vault is full of those red weapons that you were planning on, completing and getting done and stocking up on crafting materials. Well, obviously, make sure to try to get those done and lower your vault space leading into the new season, but when you are completing those Deepstone red border weapons, guys, always be selecting the last option that just gives you 300 neutral element, because again, that's going to be the only relevant element for crafting in Season 17. So again, don't get less material and get all this ruinous element that is literally going away. Now, something else you may want to do involving your inventory is hold on to Umbral and Prime engrams. It actually worked with Season 16. You can potentially decode that stuff at the Cryptarch next season and get brand new weapons if Bungie does add new weapons to the world loot pool. Again, day one, I was able to get stuff like funnel webs right away because I held on to some Umbral engrams, right? It's not like you need them right now anyways. Another thing you guys are going to want to do is, in terms of your Seasons Pass, a lot of people make the mistake of, completing it all before the start of the new season. You actually do not want to grab anything involving armor. So if you have a random helmet that you haven't grabbed yet from your Seasons Pass, the ornament is fine, but the actual physical helmet itself, don't grab it. As well as you don't want to grab any exotic engrams. Now, why is that? Well, if you go to Bungie.net, you can actually access the Seasons Pass from the previous season. So what this lets you do is, in Season 17, as you're leveling up, if you need a helmet and you're like, oh my goodness, my helmet is so far behind, everything else is, leveled up, my helmet's 3 light behind, like what do? You can actually just go on Bungie.net, go to the previous season, and withdraw that helmet, and they always drop of light. Like whatever overall average light you are, that is 100% going to be what exotic engrams and Seasons Pass armor drops at. So potentially, again, in that scenario, if a helmet is lagging behind and it's below your average light, getting a helmet from the Seasons Pass is actually going to help you level up in that scenario. It can plug the gaps for gear that's lagging behind, and it makes up for if you just get unlucky and, you can't get the helmet, you just can't get it to drop pinnacle. Again, you can potentially finally plug that gap and increase that overall level due to your Seasons Pass. So save all that stuff for next season. Now, continuing on the topic of crafting, I would highly recommend completing patterns that you haven't and leveling up weapons that you've crafted, and highly prioritizing arc and solar weapons when it comes to crafting, leveling them up, infusing them up, and that's because either Solar 3.0 or Arc 3.0 is going to launch with Season 17. And although Bungie hasn't officially revealed it, and they should be within the next, couple of days here, there are some hints and some leaks leaning towards Solar 3.0. So, if they haven't announced it yet, try to lean towards Solar. But again, as soon as you see that official announcement, go ham in terms of getting weapons ready and, ready to play immediately in Season 17 that are the same element as the announced, Subclass 3.0. And that's because we saw exactly what happened with Void 3.0 and Void weapons this season. There's a bunch of seasonal artifact mods that improve those Void builds even more so. Bungie is kind of trying to show off the power of this new elemental subclass. So if Solar 3.0 is launching next season, all those solar weapons are going to be very viable in those new builds. So something like the explosive personality grenade launcher that has, land tank and so on, that is something that I would highly prioritize getting leveled up, getting crafted, everything, because that is going to be absolutely bonkers as soon as Solar 3.0 starts. And guys, that same exact logic applies to exotic armor. If Solar 3.0 is launching next season, all those exotics like, the Phoenix Protocol that affect solar subclasses are likely to skyrocket in value. So we saw stuff like the Graviton Forfeit Helmet, Orpheus Rigs, all of those things really go up in value because Void subclasses were so good this season. Again, same thing is going to apply to whatever the next element is. So again, keep an eye on that exotic armor too. But in terms of other things you should prioritize, we actually know about a lot of buffs and nerfs coming in Season 17. If you want to see the whole massive breakdown on a ton of Sandbox changes, I did a huge video on that, is linked up above, but the Cliff Notes version of the best kind of things that are getting the biggest buffs are firstly machine guns. Machine guns are getting a 40% damage buff against everything other than bosses, and then specifically against bosses, they get a 20% damage buff. So absolutely massive. The brand new machine gun, the Grand Overture, as well as the Xenophage aren't getting the boss damage buff, but everything else is. So this is the time to, level up and infuse the Thunderlord and stuff like that. Likely going to be very good next season. In addition, Trace rifles are getting a pretty substantial 20% damage buff against everything but red bars. They actually already got a 40% damage buff against red bars, so that's again something to watch out for. And all of the exotic trace rifles pretty much have gotten specific buffs as well, so definitely stuff like the Cold Heart, stuff like the Prometheus Lens, the Wave Splitter should all be substantially better next season, so keep all those things in mind. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.